one time last year that I had to sample read a monologue, and they was like, after I get done, man, you can't read or nothing. I thought you was smart, cause I guess everybody think I look smart. So I gotta like I'm smart all the time when I'm not really.
What must it be like to come to school every day, right? And school is going to be all about the thing that you don't do well, that you have found difficult. All right, if I said to you, come to school or come to work 180 days a year, and 80% of the time that you're, at work or at school, wherever you happen to be, I'm going to ask you to do the thing you don't do well, what would you do? What would you do?
Usually I'd read before I read, like before they called on me, so I just hurry up and read it before they'd call on me, so I'd really, know it before I read it. And when they call on me, I'd sometimes be ready for it, and sometimes I wouldn't. And I'd be like, oh my God, they called on me. And sometimes I'd be like, I don't want to read, and they wouldn't care, and then it'd make me, and then I'd be like, oh God.
Spending any amount of time in classrooms where children are working on beginning reading instruction, you can almost watch children who are struggling begin to turn off and exhibit behaviors that are going to interfere with their learning.
The spiral starts, and so the learning problems get more intense, the emotional overlay gets more intense.
You can see a child literally who started off being fine begin to wither on the vine as they begin to struggle at school and lose so much of their self-esteem in the process.
It was literally like hell going through me. Because it was like nobody liked me, no way it was like, because I wouldn't read. I didn't want to read. I didn't feel like reading. I didn't feel like making a fool of myself.
Suddenly, he's run into something he just can't do, and he has to do it. He's being told by the adults in his life he has to do it. He begins to view himself as a failure. Other kids begin to view him as a failure. The teacher and parents begin to worry if he's going to fail. And that has a generalizing effect on his self-concept. Suddenly, mom and dad report he doesn't want to go to swimming lessons anymore. He doesn't want to go horseback riding anymore. He doesn't want to go to visit grandma anymore because he's failing at this monumental task of reading, and that begins to generalize and begins to impact the self-concept.
The youngster who's not learning, of course, is looking and going, it's mysterious to me too. It must be me. There just must be something wrong with me because, gee, I was sitting at the same table with 3 other kids and they were learning it. It must be me. There's something wrong here.
I remember feeling pretty dumb in kindergarten. Like, everybody else can do it, but I can't. Like, you're kind of lower than everybody else. Not as good as everybody else.
Like, when I first discovered that I had a reading problem, I would never read out loud in class. I would try skipping the reading that I had to do in elementary school. I would get really nervous when I had to read. And it was just I wasn't smart. I thought I was not smart because I couldn't read like everybody else could.
Growing up, I thought it was me the whole time. I thought something was wrong with me.
I mean, individuals who don't read well do definitely think it's their fault. This is why they won't talk about it, because they carry the shame or the guilt.
He would hit his own head, and I'm just so stupid, and he would pull his hair and bang his head and just say he wanted to die. And those things cannot be erased ever from my memory or from his. And it's so painful.
And sometimes you just want to cry. I mean, why do you have to bother everybody else to be able to do things? And nobody knows how you feel unless they're in your shoes. It's really frustrating.
Society don't want you because you can't read. That's just the way I feel. I'm just an outcast to the whole world. Like a waste of breath. Just being here. It really puts a burden on your self-esteem.
It brings me down. It upsets me that I don't know how to read. And I want to be like everybody else, but I can't. It's just hard because I don't know how to read.
He said to me one time, I know I'm not going to have a good life. I said, Mickey, why? You are a good-looking young man. You have such a wonderful personality. You can do so many things. Mickey's hands were magic. He could do anything with his hands. And he simply said, well, I'm never going to be able to read. I think there was a relationship between the rising anxiety and the self-image and depression that was growing out of his inability to read, or his struggle with reading and writing. And he hung himself on a tree. It was also very clear that he had planned it to do it at school.